Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another week. I hope you had a terrific training week and really good workouts. I just finished mine. 3 of them today, finished with the gym. A little bit tired, but we gotta get the work done, and I'm excited to talk about the next chapter. Let's get into it. Today I want to talk about closing the gap. What that means is closing the gap to become a professional triathlete. I'm gonna be having my first pro race in 2023, so there's time to prepare physically because I'm not living in a dreamland. You gotta be physically able to compete. I already started to get my mind comfortable with being able to compete with the best out there and being competitive, because it starts in the mind. One fear was, to be honest, one thought was being at that start line and looking left and right, other way around, left and right, and not belonging, right? Because if you don't belong, then you know you're not prepared, you're not physically able to do any damage to them and just be like a 10, 15th place kind of guy. And I didn't do all the sacrifices that I did to do that. So I want to be in a mix as good as possible, but I want to talk about what I think of closing the gap from being an amateur to becoming a competitive pro. So the distance I'm going to be focusing on is the Ironman distance, the full distance in triathlon, which is 3.8k swim, 180k bike, and a marathon at the end, 42k. And it's a very honest sport. It's a very honest sport. You can't hide there. Just like track and field, like 800 meter, 1,500 meters, you cannot hide there. And in the end, the fittest guy wins. One little issue there is, of course, the drafting on the bike, and they're addressing that because there's at the moment a 12-meter rule for the Ironman events, and there are still significant draft effects if you're in that pack. So it's a little bit tactical still. It's not non-drafting per se, but they're working on that. Challenge Family has 20-meter draft zone. So that means that you're actually not saving as much watts, but if you're, let's say, the 5th, 6th guy in that Ironman distance pro race of a 12-meter drafting rule, then you save up to 30, 40, 50 watts less just being in that train being pulled along. Although you keep the official distance. So that's a bit issue there. But other than that, it's a very honest, very honest racing, and you gotta be physically able to compete. So how am I gonna close the gap? I do focus on what I can control. So let's focus first on recovery, diet, and strength and conditioning. Those 3 I can already now be world class at. And actually, I have to be better at that than 99% of all the pros out there. That's just reality, because I am 32 right now, right? And the other guys at the moment, there's no magic to the training plans. Most are doing the same stuff. I think there's still some out there that do some old school stuff and like 200-kilometer bikes and run 40k afterwards. That doesn't work, but it's individual. So it's individual, you gotta find your own plan. But when you come to recovery, I gotta be sleeping better than them, more than them, higher quality than most, at least. That's just a fact. And when it comes to diet as well, there's lots of tricks that you can do. Everybody's individual with a diet, but I found now what works for me, and I'm always tweaking, always pushing what can I add in there. A little bit tart cherry juice for sleep and soreness. There's many tricks, and curcuma, cinnamon, you name it, I'm probably doing it. So when it comes to strength and conditioning and gym work, I don't mean that I want to be the guy that is able to squat 150 kgs, because that's not really relevant for my sport. Maybe in the November time you can work on max strength. I'm gonna do that, of course, with Coach Brazer. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna form a little triangle with my coach, of course, Tim Brazer, who's the leading man in my training plan, of course. Then my input from the physio side, and my fiancée, who was just at the Olympic Games. She's also gonna give her input objectively of my weaknesses. So strength and conditioning gotta be on Red Bull level, so very high advanced level, because when you think about it, it's a very complex sport to do well just on a strength conditioning side. The swimming is a completely different position from the spine than the holding the air position, clean for neck and core to distribute the power in the pedal, and the running again, having a clean running stride for the whole duration of the marathon. Very complex to get right, and it's not just endurance, not just the engine. Those I can control. When it comes to the actual training plan, we are making massive progress and we are always looking for tweaking things. We're looking what works for me, but of course, I don't have a definitive plan how to exactly close the gap because it hasn't been done. There's 1 or 2 guys that have done it, but when you think about it, most of those guys, they're doing it for 20 years and they're doing the 25, 30 hours, 35 hours at that moment as well, but at a higher swim pace, a higher bike pace, higher run pace. So I gotta be doing things better than them or more individual to me that I'm able to close the gap. So, I mean, I can only do what I can control. So I cannot be world class at the moment when it comes to training per se, because I can't just go up to 30, 35 hours like that. That's not how physiology works. I'll just break because that's actually what happened to a lot of people I know. I've been standing on the podium at and they said, hey, I'm gonna go pro. You had nothing of them and they just burnt themselves straight out. I know that. Yeah, there goes your pro career. I also want to talk about the dark side a little bit. I've been approaching people that have been training world champions in the past as well. And the first question I got asked is doping and to show blood values, which I think was great to show it and right away ask that chapter. But there I realized I'm quite naive when it comes to that. And the more I talk to people, the more I realize it's actually quite prevalent in our sport. I mean, it does make sense in endurance sport. It makes massive benefits out there. But as long as the money is not as big as Tour de France, let's say, it's probably less, but it is definitely happening. That's of course discouraging for me as well, because it's maybe gonna make the gap even bigger, or maybe I can never close the gap to the top guys. Definitely possible, but those things are out of my control. I just know I can just focus on myself, can focus on my journey, because taking the cheap way out and the cheating, and that's absolute losers that do that. They just get right out of the sport. They have nothing to do with this type of sport. So Einstein actually said, you probably know the quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. You and me, we probably fell into that trap before and repeating mistakes. But when it comes to referring that to my training plan, if I do the exact same stuff that 90% of the people out there, then I'm probably gonna have a hard time closing the gap. So we are already tweaking, and I'm hyper aware of every single session, highly focused. You're gonna have a hard time finding people that are more disciplined and focused than me.
Kids are soft. You lack discipline.
But I cannot compare to other people, so I just compare to myself today and yesterday, trying to be more disciplined and more focused and better the next day. So Tim Brazer, coach, and I are gonna find an individual approach to me, to my strength and my physiological strength in the sport, which has been always holding like a sub-max intensity, let's say, definitely way slower than threshold for a long time. I figured it out at my second Ironman, because the half distance I was already quite good. Short distance I was not really relevant. But then I did a half. The first one was under 5 hours, and then they told me that was good. And then I did the first Ironman. It was 11 hours, was okay. But then I got a coach, and she back then she did 4 to 6 weeks of fine tuning. And this next Ironman I did, I was right away 45 minutes quicker. And I won my age group right away. I do have the talent to holding that pace and that steady, not steady, steady is the wrong word, but that Ironman pace for a long time, many hours. I noticed in the military as well, when we went running out for long, or when we went up ski touring up the mountain, it was always my strength, not the high intensity stuff. So of course we're gonna be working on high intensity and the threshold work and all those things which are my weakness, but I'm never gonna be the best there. I'm not trying to compete for 1 or 2 hours in the sport, which is a short distance, Olympic distance. I'm trying to compete for 7-8 hours. This year more like 8 hours, but eventually 7 hours something, and it's a different engine you need. The reason I talk about it, I got actually really inspired by a friend of mine, Tobias. Shout out to you, you're watching this, I know. You sent over an article from a Swedish ice skater, and he revealed all his training, how he won the 5K and 10K. He just won the medals in Beijing, and he revealed his whole training plan. His own federation actually kicked him out because he had such a different training plan. He did a 5-2 rhythm, so he trained 5 days, very intense, and 2 days he did nothing. Really nothing, just sleeping, resting, also social life and all that stuff. With that rhythm, he made massive progress, focused a lot on the engine, had clear blocks, super interesting, and I got really inspired by that. You can't take that right away over, but just that sparked the thought of doing something a little bit different. I mean, we are now just still in the standard rope. I'm doing a few tricks here. It's behind the camera. I'll probably reveal it after Hawaii or maybe never.
It's classified.
But I'm doing some sneaky things which I just found and read and saw other people doing that I think could move the needle. So I'm not giving it all away, but in the end I have nothing to hide anyways, because I'm the rookie, I'm the one that hasn't achieved anything in pro sport, so it's not like I'm inventing anything new. So yeah, it's anyways gonna be a pretty long journey to reach my potential in the sport. Physiology works like that. Even the bodybuilder Ronnie Coleman, I think he took him 8 or 10 years to finally lift that heavy lift that he always dreamt of, the 800 pounds or what that was. And it just takes a long time, right? So you might as well get comfortable with the time, but every day stay focused and do all you can. So I hope this inspired you in some way, maybe also that you can set really high goals and that you can really be disciplined and focused.
No more complaining, no more Mr. Kimball have to go to the bathroom, nothing. There is no bathroom!
In the time you're training, whatever the goal is, if you want to go to Kona, if you finished your first Ironman, if you want to run a 10K, if you want to do your first run ever and you never ran and you're scared to do so because you may be overweight and you want to lose weight, you can do it. You can do absolutely anything. The human body is an absolute machine. I'm starting to understand that more and more now, but I'm still on baby level when you compare to some ultra runners who run 360 miles, and the human body is incredible. I think it's sad if people leave this planet not really finding their potential. So whatever it is that you're excited about and that you like doing physically, get after it, challenge yourself, whatever it is, if it's pull-ups, whatever, get after it. It's gonna be worth it and you're gonna feel great. Okie doke, that's already it for this week. I hope you're gonna have another great week of training. Stay focused, the season is around the corner, and chase your goals. Chat soon, bye bye. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can really help me out if you like and subscribe, push your notification bell, comment below what you want to see next, and I see you in the next video.